I wasn't supposed to fall for her, and she sure as hell wasn't supposed to marry my dad. But life doesn't care about supposed to, does it? Her name was Ava, the kind of woman who could make a man forget where he was standing just by walking into a room. She had this wild red hair that curled perfectly down her back, and those green eyes. God, those eyes. They looked right through me the first time we met, like she knew all my secrets before I ever opened my mouth. I met her at a small bar outside Boston where I was playing guitar and singing for tips and a free drink. She was sitting alone, sipping red wine, legs crossed, watching me like I was the only thing in the room that mattered. After my set, she came up to me with a slow smile and said, "You don't just sing, you feel." That was all it took. We talked for hours. It felt easy, electric, like we already knew each other. Her laugh was low, soft, the kind that curled into your chest and stayed there. She asked questions, deep ones, about my music. My mom, who passed away when I was 18, the kind of pain I usually kept buried. She didn't run from the heavy stuff. She leaned in. I hadn't felt that kind of connection in years, maybe ever. We started seeing each other. Nothing serious at first. Just late-night drives, shared coffee, kisses that started soft and turned breathless. I thought I had found someone real. Someone who saw me for who I really was, not just Richard Carter's son. But then, out of nowhere, she started pulling away. No big argument, no warning, just distance. Texts went unanswered, calls went to voicemail. The silence was loud and cold. I didn't know what I did wrong. I kept thinking maybe she got scared, or maybe it was me. Maybe I wasn't enough then. My dad called. He sounded excited, almost giddy, which was rare for him. He said he wanted me to come by for dinner, said he had someone special to introduce me to. And there she was, Ava, sitting at our kitchen table, holding a glass of wine, smiling like she hadn't disappeared from my life just weeks earlier. My dad had no idea. He was glowing, proud, already talking about how they met at some business fundraiser. She barely looked at me except once, a glance, quick. But there was something in it, a flicker of guilt or challenge. I couldn't tell. I didn't say a word. I couldn't. My stomach twisted. My jaw locked. I told myself maybe it was just a coincidence. Maybe they were just dating. It wouldn't last, but it did. 4 months later, I was standing in a rented tuxedo on a Cape Cod beach, watching my father marry the woman I once imagined waking up next to for the rest of my life. Ava wore a silk dress that danced in the wind, her hair pinned up with tiny white flowers. She looked like a dream, my dream walking into someone else's forever. Everyone clapped when they kissed. Champagne flowed. My father looked happier than I'd seen him in years. And me, I smiled for the photos. I toasted with the guests. But inside I was breaking. Every second I had spent with her came rushing back, her lips, her laugh, the way she whispered my name in the dark. And now she was calling my father husband. I thought that was the worst part. Watching her choose him, but the real nightmare began after the honeymoon. It was 2 weeks later when she came to my room. Late at night, everyone was asleep. I heard the soft knock on my door, and when I opened it, there she was, barefoot, wearing one of my dad's shirts like it was nothing. She didn't smile, didn't speak at first, looked at me with those same green eyes I once fell into. And in that second, I knew whatever game we thought we were playing wasn't over. She married my dad. But something in her had come back. For me, that night, when I opened my bedroom door and saw Ava standing there, I swear the air left my lungs. She wasn't supposed to be there. Not like that. Not wearing my father's shirt like it was some casual sleepwear. Not looking at me like I was still hers. I should have slammed the door. I should have said something, anything, but I didn't. Instead, I just stood there, stuck between rage and longing, between what was right and what I still secretly wanted. Ava stepped inside slowly, like she was testing the floor beneath her feet, her bare toes curling against the wooden boards. Her perfume hit me first, soft, familiar, the same one I used to breathe in when she fell asleep in my arms. "Can we talk?" she asked, her voice low and cautious, like she knew exactly what kind of fire she was walking into. I didn't answer. I just stepped aside and let her in. My room suddenly felt smaller, like her presence was pressing in on the walls. She sat down on the edge of my bed, her eyes flicking up to meet mine, but this time they didn't try to pretend. There was no hiding, no polite small talk. Just raw, exposed tension between us. "I didn't plan for this," she said quietly. "You have to believe me?" "Didn't plan for what?" I snapped, more sharply than I meant to. "To play me. To marry my dad?" She shook her head, her voice trembling. "Josh, it wasn't like that. I didn't know he was your father when we met. That night at the bar, that was real. You were real. But then I met him at an event and I panicked. I needed safety, stability. I've been through some things you don't know about. Your dad offered something I thought I couldn't find with you. I looked away." Her words stung because a part of me understood. I was 25, still chasing music gigs and working side jobs. My dad had a penthouse, a plan, a name that opened doors. I couldn't compete with that, but then she said something that tore through me. "But you made me feel, and I haven't stopped feeling, even now." I turned back to her, trying to stay angry, trying to hold on to the betrayal. But it was like standing in front of a flame and trying not to feel the heat. She reached out and took my hand, and I let her. God help me, I let her. What followed wasn't love, and it wasn't revenge. It was confusion, desperation, passion, and pain all wrapped into one tangled night. We kissed like it was the last time, even though deep down we both knew it wouldn't. It wasn't sweet. It wasn't romantic. It was raw, wrong, and unforgettable. After we lay there in silence, the shame already settling in, she was crying quietly beside me, and I didn't know what to say. I hated myself for letting it happen. I hated her for starting it. And yet, I couldn't bring myself to regret it completely. "That made it worse," she whispered. "This can't happen again." I nodded, but neither of us meant it. The next few weeks turned into a silent war. We went on pretending. Around my dad, we acted like everything was normal. She called him honey, laughed at his jokes, held his hand. Meanwhile, she would sneak glances at me across the dinner table, glances that said everything she couldn't say out loud. And sometimes when the house was quiet, I'd wake up to another knock on my door. And I'd open it. Each time we promised it was the last. Each time we failed. I knew it couldn't last. Secrets like that always find their way into the light. I was playing with fire, burning everything I loved in silence. But the worst part wasn't the guilt. It was how right it felt when I was with her. It's how her touch still made the world stop, even when I knew it would cost me everything. I was stuck in a beautiful lie, and the truth was getting closer every day. The weeks that followed were like living in a slow, private storm. On the outside, everything looked calm. My dad would call out dinner plans, talk about business deals, and laugh while flipping steaks on the backyard grill. Ava smiled like she belonged, played the perfect wife, kissed him goodbye when he left for work. But in the quiet spaces late at night behind closed doors, we were something else. Something broken and dangerous. She'd knock, or sometimes I would. And we'd fall into each other like addicts needing one last hit. It wasn't about love anymore. It was need, guilt, anger, and heat, all wrapped into something that felt too big to control. Every time she touched me, I felt alive and ashamed in the same breath. And every time I watched her with my dad, I felt like the worst kind of son. I tried to stop. I swear I did. I started seeing someone, Emma, a soft-spoken girl I met through a friend at a music gig downtown. She worked at a library, loved indie films, drank her coffee black, and never tried to fix me. Being around her was easy, safe. She listened when I spoke, and she never asked too many questions. When I was with her, I felt like maybe there was a version of me that hadn't already been destroyed. But Ava noticed. One night after dinner, while my dad was still in the shower, she cornered me in the hallway and asked, "You're seeing someone?" Her voice wasn't loud, but the tone was sharp. She was jealous, furious even. I laughed bitterly. "Married to my father, Ava. What the hell do you care?" Her eyes narrowed. "Don't pretend like I don't still have you." And I hated how right she was. We fought that night, not with fists or screams, but with words meant to hurt. Then we kissed, hard and desperate, like we were trying to erase everything. But something had changed. I couldn't keep living like that, torn between two women, drowning in guilt, lying to the only parent I had left. The breaking point came on a quiet Tuesday morning. My dad found it, a letter. A short, stupid love letter I had written Ava months ago, back when I thought we had something real. I'd poured my feelings into that page, words I thought no one would ever read. Somehow Ava had kept it. Somehow. It ended up in his hands. Maybe it fell from her nightstand. Maybe she left it there on purpose. I don't know. But the moment he read it, everything unraveled. He didn't shout. He didn't throw punches or curse. He just stood in the living room, holding the letter in one hand and looking at us like we were strangers. His voice cracked when he said, "Tell me the truth." I couldn't speak. I just looked down, ashamed, ruined. Ava stepped forward, tears spilling fast, her voice shaking. "I never meant to hurt you, Richard. It was a mistake. It got out of control." She confessed everything, not just to him, but to herself. Every night, every lie. He didn't look at her. He didn't even blink. He looked at me. I will never forget the look in his eyes. Not anger, not even betrayal, just heartbreak. Pure, silent heartbreak. The kind that doesn't need words to destroy you. He packed a bag that night and left the house. Didn't say where he was going. Ava tried to call. He didn't pick up. I texted. Nothing. Emma found out too. I guess one of her friends heard about it through someone else. She blocked me. And who could blame her? I didn't even try to explain. What was there to say? Ava stayed for a few more days. We didn't speak much. The silence between us was heavier than anything we'd ever done. The last time I saw her, she just stood in the hallway with a suitcase and said, "This was never supposed to happen." But I don't regret it. I didn't answer. I just let her walk away. And for the first time, I realized the mess we made wasn't just about love or lust or mistakes. It was about everything we didn't say. Everything we couldn't be. We broke more than just rules. We broke each other. Months passed. Seasons changed, and so did I. After Ava left, everything inside the house felt hollow. My dad never came back. He sent for the rest of his things through a friend, and that was it. No goodbye, no explanation. Just distance, cold and final. I had lost him, and I knew I deserved it. There's a kind of silence that sets in when you've hurt the one person who raised you, who trusted you, who gave you everything. That silence doesn't scream, stays quiet and heavy, and lives inside your chest. Every morning I woke up and felt it. Every time I passed his old armchair or the empty spot at the dinner table, it reminded me of what I destroyed. And Ava, she vanished, changed her number. Disappeared like none of it ever happened. No messages. No closure. Just memories I couldn't erase. I tried to move forward. I started playing music again, putting more of myself into it than ever before. Heartbreak has a strange way of sharpening your voice, like pain pulls the truth to the surface. Noticed my shows started filling up more. One night, after a small set in a Portland cafe, a woman approached me. Her name was Leah. She wore glasses, had freckles across her nose, and smiled like she knew what heartbreak felt like too. She didn't flirt. She didn't play games. She just said, "Your music sounds like healing." Okay. And that hit me harder than anything. We got coffee the next day. then dinner. Then a walk in the rain that felt more honest than anything I'd felt in years. She asked about my family, and I told her everything, not the filtered version, the real mess. I expected her to walk away. Instead, she touched my hand gently and said, "You hurt people, but you're still here. That means something." Didn't fall in love fast. I was too guarded. But with her, it wasn't about fire or obsession. It was calm, slow, real. The kind of love that doesn't burn. It holds. One day I got a letter in the mail, no return address. It's just my name in familiar handwriting. It was from my dad. "Josh, I don't know if I'll ever understand what happened. I still wake up some mornings hoping it was just a bad dream, but I've had time to think. You were my son long before she was my wife. And no matter how broken I feel, I still remember who raised you. I still remember the boy who played guitar on the porch and stayed up nights taking care of his mom. I can't pretend it didn't hurt. It did deeply, but I'm trying to forgive you. Not for you, for me. Because I need to let go of that pain to live. Maybe one day we'll talk. Maybe we won't. But I want you to be better than the mistake you made, Dad." I sat with that letter for hours, just holding it, reading it over and over. I cried, not the angry kind, but the quiet kind. It's the kind that feels like release. It wasn't a full healing, but it was something, a start. Leah helped me write a letter back. I didn't ask for forgiveness. I just told him I understood, that I missed him, that I hoped one day he could look me in the eyes again and see his son, not the man who betrayed him. Ava called me once, months later, from a blocked number. Her voice was softer, almost distant. She said she was living in Arizona, trying to start over. She didn't ask for anything. She just wanted to say, "I'm sorry, not for loving you, but for not knowing how to love the right way." That was the last time we spoke. Now I play in small towns and quiet places. Leah sits in the front row when she can. My music still carries the scars of everything I've been through. But there's hope in the notes now. There's peace in the silence. I've learned that some mistakes never get erased. They just become part of your story. And sometimes the most broken love teaches you the most about how to build something real.